Okay, the humidifier is running right now. Approximately 5 ounces of Freon in this thing, and the gauges right now. The only thing that's connected is this low side, and I think the data plate states that the low side is up to 150, and we're probably around 80 or 90 on the low side. So I'm gonna let this run for a while and see what she looks like. Maybe add a touch more Freon, or maybe leave it where it's at. I don't know, but so far so good. That's what the low side gauge looks like. It shows about 80 psi. I think the data plate said 100. So this is the repair of a dehumidifier. It developed a leak in the evaporator core. We repaired the leak with compression fittings and a new piece of tube. Evacuated the system and put a charge on it. We'll let it run for a while and then come back and take a look again. Okay, we started this thing up, and I don't think I'll be able to see this, but there's a crack in the plastic and water was dripping towards the inside. This is where we made that other repair, but it looks like we're going to have to do another repair over here where there's a crack. I don't know if we did that or that was there, or exactly what was going on, but when we saw the water dripping on the inside, we thought, we got to shut this thing down and lay it on its side and get this fixed now. So this is something else to do. For the refrigeration system, it seems to be working pretty good. We're getting a good sweat off the coil. You can see right here, this is the evaporator right there. There's the expansion tube, and then the evaporator right there. And we're getting a good sweat, and obviously since we're dripping water on the inside, the evaporator coil's got a good sweat on it, and it's causing water to drip inside. So I got to dry that all out, dry this out, and try and put some of this white plastic putty on here and see if we can get this to seal up. Alright, we'll be back. Okay, there's the repair we're trying to make. The plastic is cracked down there, so with that white stuff, epoxy, plastic patch, whatever you want to call it, is hopefully is going to seal this thing up. Got this thing basically almost upside down, so it's going to be 24 hours before we can start this compressor. Once that stuff hardens, I'm going to stand this thing upright so that the oil in the compressor drains back down to the bottom to the sump area, because you know, I don't want to slug this thing with oil where it's not supposed to be. So here we are again. What are you gonna do? Always something. Alright, I'm going to show you what this micron gauge is about. There's a 76,000, if I can get the glare away. 76,000, that's atmospheric pressure. And we're hooked up directly right onto the vacuum pump. And we'll put it on right now. And you're seeing 76,000 is starting to go down. But I've got the there's a breather on this thing open, the X-ballast. So we'll close that off. Full high vacuum. Alright, there you go. Now she's really starting to go down. Alright, so that's, you know, if you let this thing run for a half hour, you're going to get this thing down to like maybe 20. I think I've seen 20 on it. That's what the, I think this pump is capable of, 20 micron. I think they state 15, but maybe I need to change the oil to get it down to 15. But, so when you were saying on the dehumidifier, you were saying 1,000. not sure why that is. You would think if it's totally sealed, it could be, there's a lot more junctions, you know, there's a lot more connections. And because of all those connections, maybe they, you know, they leak slightly. When we get down to these kind of numbers, we're talking about minute amount of leakage and really high vacuums. So I just wanted to, you know, give you this example that this is what would be great to see if you're doing your own system. These numbers would be fantastic. All right, that's it. Okay, here we are. We're about 12 hours into this thing. It's running. It seems to be doing pretty good. You can look down into the bucket there and see it. There's water dripping down into the bucket off the bottom of the evaporator coil. We did a repair here. Might be able to see it. It's a piece of copper tubing and two compression fittings. We put that on the evaporator coil where there was a hole. Let me see if I can get this light turned down a little bit for you. Where there was a hole in that evaporator coil, so we just put a new piece. The unusual thing, I think, is that we used compression fittings. I wasn't aware that it would work good on a Freon system, but so far, 12 hours into this thing, it seems to be doing pretty well. On the front side, we have the front open. We used more tight to seal to prevent condensation on the internal parts here, so that we don't drip water or condensate inside the unit. We did the plastic repair using like a plastic epoxy. When we brought the torch out and put it inside of this thing, that styrene plastic that was in there melted away in a heartbeat. So maybe putting heat on something like this isn't such a good idea. Even though I had rags, wet rags, and sheet metal and all kinds of protection on it, it still wasn't enough. The other thing we did was we used kind of a big torch. So let me show you the difference in torches here. I ordered a small torch. I found one for a reasonable price, and I put that in. Actually, I received it, but there it is on the bottom. That's what turbo torch would consider an A3. It's a 3.6 cubic feet per hour and 5,300 BTU. I wish I would have had that when I went to solder that thing, but I did not. So I used the top one there, which is I guess Turbo Torch calls it an A8. It's 7.2 cubic feet per hour, and it's 16,500 BTU. That bottom thing, that's the compression fitting. That's the union that we used. We just cut out the bad section of the tube, used two of those compression fittings, and reformed the new tube, and tightened up the compression fittings, and everything seems to be holding pretty good. So that's the story today. Maybe once we get the thing buttoned up, we'll give you one more shot at this thing and give you, advise you that it's been holding good for, I don't know, 48 hours or so. If all looks good then, we'll button everything up and put it back in service. Alright, thanks for watching. Good luck with your dehumidifier repairs.